Hello and welcome back, YouTubers. I am Protomario, and today we are reviewing a system that needs no introduction or explanation as to what it is. This is one of the most recognized and widely regarded, commonly known gaming systems in existence, the Nintendo Entertainment System, also called the NES. This is an 8-bit game console that was released by Nintendo in North America during 1985, and it was subsequently released in the other three main countries, Europe and Australia, as well as Asia, in 1986 and 1987. Do take note that this was originally a Famicom, which stands for, or is also known as, a family computer, and it was released in Japan much earlier, 1983. The family computer version, the Famicom, is significantly different looking and has a much different trademark, but today we're looking at the good old gray box American one. So before I delve into the review, let's have a look-see at some history here. This is one of the best selling game consoles of its time. It was in direct competition with things like ColecoVision, Intellivision, and the widely known Atari 2600, 5200, and 7600. The NES helped to revitalize the US video game industry following the video game crash of 1983, which I also have done a video on that. If you have not seen that, you can go ahead and look in gaming history and have a look-see at that video. That will tell you all you need to know about Nintendo's rise in America. So, now that you've known some of the history, this came out and it kind of changed the game a bit. Not really anything that we might look at today as game changers, like 2 buttons and a D-pad rather than a joystick, but these things were revolutionary at the time. Again, if you haven't seen my history of the video game crash from 1983 and Nintendo's rise, you should probably go look at that video. So what we have present before us is a Model 1 NES system released in 1985, as I stated before. This is a blocky unit. This unit suffers from the old 72-pin problem. This one specifically is not so bad on it because I have taken good care of it, even though it does look a little bit beat up. On the front side, you can see how it looks more like a VCR rather than a gaming console like the Atari 2600 with the flap on the front, the tray to insert and lock in, like thus. You can see Super Mario Bros. 3 there. A wonderful game that really took the system to new heights at the time. The lock-in tray still works. This gaming console is almost 15 years old now. Wait, strike that. 25 years old. I apologize, my math is off. 25 years and it still works perfectly. Well, as perfect as can be expected. The power button on the front left will turn on a little red light. If it blinks, something is wrong with the game or the locking mechanism. If it doesn't turn on, that means you have no power. There is also a reset button on the front, in case you want to reset the game without hitting the power button twice. Along the front side again, you can see controller ports for 1 and 2, where a controller, like thus, will insert in. You cannot confuse it. It does not have any weird pin systems, and it's pretty simple to put in the holes and play. The controller itself is pretty simple. It is wrapped up now, but it has a D-pad, a start and select, and an A and B. Not complicated. Along the top side, we have a couple aesthetic venting here. and nothing much extra to tell you that it's a Nintendo. Across the front, again, you can see in red lettering, Nintendo Entertainment System, and yeah, that's nice. On the side over here, this is one of the newer things that hit the market. This is not dependent on a coaxial connection only, as it has the video and audio. Now do take note that the NES could not produce stereo at the time, and stereo was relatively new to the Super Nintendo, its predecessor. So it does have mono channels, but this was much better than coaxial, and I can attest to that, and I think anyone in their right mind can attest that this is much better than coaxial, but definitely not that good. On the bottom side, let me move my camera here a little bit. You can see the FCC ID. You can see the Nintendo logo and the information, as well as the customer service warranty repair. Recently, they stopped taking these, and it was up until that time that they still took these in for repairs. On the back side, if you don't happen to have RCA cables, don't worry, the coax connection does still work, and there are ports for the AC adapter, channel 3 and channel 4, and the AF switch. And that's roughly about it. This is the NES. It is an old gray block. It works very well at times. It does have the 72-pin problem. It may have some issues, but it's nothing big. The NES was one of the biggest things to take Nintendo to new heights, and pretty much kick-started the video gaming world back into games, where Atari had failed so much it almost destroyed it. Now, do take note that the original price was $130 back in the 80s, and it came with 2 controllers and the Super Mario Brothers pack. However, if you did happen to get the action set, it came with 2 controllers, a zapper, which is this, an orange zapper or a gray zapper. Color didn't really matter anymore. Along with Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt. But there were also a couple other bundles that came out later on, such as another action set that initially was $150, had dropped to $100 in 1991, which included the zapper, 2 game controllers, a multi-cart version of Super Mario Brothers and Duck Hunt, as well as a track and field sport game with a couple of different Olympic games like hurdles and 100-yard dash and things like that. It was called World Class Track Meet, and this one also came up with a power pad as well. There were other things that were released with this system, such as the Power Glove and things like that that came out, and they weren't exactly the best, they weren't the worst, but yeah, it was a pretty good system until the Super Nintendo came out. It was not defeated, and the only reason that it stopped making money is because the Super NES came out, and people still love the games from the NES days. The 8-bit games are pretty much gaming history in itself. The NES is something that you must play to understand. There are plenty of ROMs out there, but unless you actually play the NES and get the experience firsthand, you won't feel it. You won't have fun, and it won't be as good as it would be if it was the real McCoy. So guys, this is the NES. If you haven't had the chance or opportunity to play one, I suggest you get on eBay and try and find one. However, do take note that a lot of NESs do not work very well, if at all anymore, because it is such an old system. So if you're going to purchase one, make sure it's from a reputable dealer. I'm Protomario, and I'm signing on. Hey guys, if you enjoyed this review, please subscribe and thumbs up and tell me what you think. Also, there's a multitude of other videos as well.